find out something. I want to play the devil's advocate here now. We all know that the legislature is easily probably the most important arm of government in a democracy.
Yeah,
and in a proper democracy, they probably work the hardest because they're constantly, trying to keep things going, as it were. Yes. These allowances, for example, are they not necessary?
You see,
I like the deep breath. Just
you see, there is everything operating in a context. A legislature of a nation operates in a context. The context that this particular National Assembly is operating in is a context in which the GDP per capita of Nigeria is about $2,500. That's the context in which they're operating. And this is, so if you have people's salaries who are many multiples of that amount of money, then you have a group of people who are divorced from the context in which they're supposed to operate. So I understand that they may need allowances, they may need one thing or the other, but it even goes back to what Sheung just said. The issue is there's not enough transparency. It is allocated in block. You don't get answers for it. You don't get where is so and so and so going. So you cannot begin to talk about allowances in a country with majority poor people, for example. You cannot begin to talk about allowances just because you feel you are entitled to them. There's nothing wrong with collection allowances, but like I said, it must be within limits. It must be proportional to the context in which you are operating. This is not America, the richest country in the world, where people just throw money at you. You are not in Qatar, you are not in Saudi Arabia. So all these things are, so these are the issues for me. They do deserve allowances, but whether we have, but whether we need the vast amounts they are getting, I don't think so. No.
I'm going to take something from what you said now and flip it to you as well.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not America. This is not a country where a lot of things work easily. You did mention hardship allowance and you laughed.
Yeah,
but it's a country where there's a lot. It's inconveniencing to do a lot of things in Nigeria. Okay. I'm not going to do fault for anybody. I just want you to give me a reason why. Yeah, give me a reason why, for example, the hardship allowance is funny to you.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Funny is an understatement here because, well, I mean,
it's a tough country to run.
It's a tough country, and you are in an air-conditioned room. And sometimes, did you look at the footage of one of them? He had his legs on the table. And that's a normal plenary session in the National Assembly. And you're paying yourself for that, for relaxing and laughing in the hallowed chambers. I mean, it's ridiculous. He was talking about within the context of the country. I mean, the GDP per capita, I mean, what the Nigerian legislator earns is like 116 times the GDP per capita of a normal citizen. This is a country where, I mean, paying 18,000 naira is difficult for most states, okay? This is a country where about 100 million people are living under the poverty line, and we don't know what our senators earn. Or sometimes what the figures we seem to get is that a senator earns about 29 million naira in a month. No, we cannot really continue like this. Let them come clean, tell us how much they earn, and let's look at how this, like I said earlier, it's an ongoing process. We intend to keep asking questions. We want them to be very open, let them be accountable. If they were really elected by us, they have to answer those questions, and we're looking forward to keep asking those questions.
Do you think we're going to get those answers, though? Do you honestly think they're going to give you those answers? Because these are people who, I mean, I'm also tempted to ask, do you think we left this too late? Because it's been about 15 years now of democracy, and we let them continue increasing their allowances. This doesn't happen overnight. They just continue doing it, and we let them. Is this happening too late?
It's not late. It just shows that, I think it just shows that we're just maturing, the system gets matured. And issues of transparency and accountability is coming to the border. Since 2010, the budget has been 150 billion. If you look at the medium-term expenditure, which is going to be like a forecast for the next 3 years, it's still, as I checked it yesterday, it's still 150 billion, meaning possibly it's just an amount pegged in that level. It's not even subject to inflation. It's not even subject to anything. It looks like just an allocation, which is just given to you. I think that's what you even get most times in statutory transfer. So we allocate this to you. But it doesn't mean that we give you 150 billion naira, you won't finish 150 billion naira. You're supposed to return after you said, okay, this is what I've accounted for. It's like you say, I sent my driver to buy me fuel in the car. You're supposed to come back and say, okay, I give you 5,000 naira. This is what is the amount left, and this is the amount of money. So, firstly, being a statutory transfer does not give you that right to finish the entire fund. It tells you that you're supposed to account and return what's left to the coffers. And that's what you see in standard, like the U.S. Congress. If you go to disbursements.house.gov, that's the U.S. House of Rep website, you find it there. They will tell you this is the amount we've gotten this quarter. This is what we are returning back to the Treasury. This is what we are getting for next quarter. That is how it's supposed to be. That's a standard practice, and that's been done by the U.S. since 1974. Now, they've had years of democracy even before getting to that point. But it doesn't mean we have to also wait for almost 200 years or 150 years of democracy before we start demanding those questions. We need to start now. Okay, it's 14 years already, and the question has to start now. Why do we not get the breakdown of the National Assembly budget? Every ministry in this country has a breakdown on the federal government's website. But those are classified as statutory transfers. Just those definitely don't see the breakdown. And so only the National Assembly even goes to the National Judicial Council. Even goes to National Judicial Council, for instance. Look at, and even goes to almost every organ in that space called statutory transfers. But it's going to be very good if we pick on the National Assembly. Why? Because these are the people who are supposed to be the arbiters of accountability and transparency. You're the people calling the executive to order to come and explain how they spend funds. The people doing oversight, doing all the structuring. So you need, it's like even was.
Do the Ministry of Finance, what is their role in this, though? Because we are talking about breakdown of budget and all of that. What is the role of the Ministry of Finance in this? Because they present the budget and they know where this money goes to. Why are we not asking them questions as well?
Okay, great. The questions about the Ministry of Finances, the National Assembly first, is up. That's why I said there was a time in which the National Assembly breakdown of their budget was available. 2010, 2009, you would get it. But there was a point in time in which the constitutional review happened before the last election. If you remember, that was the time it became a statutory transfer. And the minute it became a statutory transfer, it just became a mere allocation. That power was taken from the executive. Do you get that? So it was that beginning where you never even saw the breakdown anymore. Yeah. That's where the questions now get up. It head up like, where is the breakdown of this? So for you to say you want to ask the Ministry of Finance, it might be just be you're asking the wrong person the question. The person who should give us the breakdown, maybe through the ministry, should be the National Assembly.
Now, it's easy to ask this, not necessarily easy, but I mean, like you said, we know the person to ask these questions and all of that. But we all know that politics in Nigeria is a huge problem, and that's why most of this is happening. Nobody gets into office cheap, using it loosely.
Yes.
You are either sponsored, or even if you do it yourself, you spend tons of money. Do we need to go back to how campaigns are run and how elective positions are gotten for this sort of things to stop? Because people expect you to go in there and make money if you're going to spend that much money.
That's true. A while ago, I looked into campaign finance law a little bit, where you have to track who spends what, how people spend money and all of that. And what I found was there is a lot of campaign finance is not monitored in Nigeria. People are supposed to remit figures of how much they spent to INEC, but the parties don't do it. They do it half. They remit some, but the vast majority of what they spend goes unrecorded, and INEC either do not have the will or the manpower to track the kind of expenditure that goes on, because a lot of it goes under the table. It cannot be tracked and all of that. Now, of course, it's a foundational problem, really, because, like you said, if you spend a lot of money, you need to recoup it. And so what happens is, when you give these people this kind of money to throw around, what happens is they now use the money to lock themselves into office and keep other people out. And that's the problem. That's the first thing. That's why the salaries need to come down. Because when you do that, they now have to survive on what they have done for their constituencies. And if it's not enough, then they are going to have to leave. But what happens now is you have given them the weapons to lock themselves in. That's why you can have people doing 4 or 5 terms without anything tangible. Something happened around 2010 when it became statutory. I learned that the last time federal lawmakers got payslips was in 2010. So apparently, they just get their alerts, they just get their money, but there's no track, they're not giving anything. So something happened in 2010 that we need to begin to ask, what happened?
That's when
then?
the 150 billion started, right?
Yes, it started then. The money was jacked up because what happened was it jumped from 66
Yep, 66
billion to 150 billion.
104, 158.
Then suddenly nothing, no transparency, nothing. The money just gets spent, and then we all hear stories. So yes, campaign finance is a big deal, but to sort it out, it will require a lot of will. It requires an INEC that is unshackled. But I don't think that's the case we have right now.